Welcome to the second day of the SLTV Pro Series Season 11, everybody. It is going to be the lower bracket, AlbumS Corleone versus AlbumS. Both teams heavily just backed up by stand-ins at the moment, unfortunately. I guess just roster shuffles incoming, maybe somebody's still just partying from New Year's, who knows. But we are here, we're SLTV, I'm Couchor, I'm joined by Mr. Blackadder, man. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. It's going to be an interesting series, I believe. You do mention there's a lot of stand-ins and possible roster shuffles, but these two teams, even with the stand-ins, they sort of have a bit of a reputation, I think is the right way to put it.
Yeah, it's Welcomers definitely they are known to just run any kind of crazy, almost anything your imagination can just mix up. BBC have
Call a
played it.
Shrek. Call a Shrek. Call Skywrath Mage with an Aghanims. Oh, I have seen some fun things casting BBC in these last few months. They are a fun team to watch. Same applies to AlbumS by all means. They're both very fun, aggressive teams. Balkan Bears, when I say aggressive, I don't think that justifies it enough. Overzealous. What's a bigger word than over aggressive? Relentless.
Yeah, it's probably the right way to describe possibly even both teams, like you said, even AlbumS running some slightly different strategies and really aggressive play style as well for AlbumS. So theoretically, should be a great game. We'll see how the stand-ins will actually impact them, if it's gonna just change their playstyle. But Balkan Bear starting with a Centaur, I guess aggression is still go.
Yeah, I thoroughly expect aggression, and this feels like Balkan Bears to me. First pick Centaur War Runner. It's what I tend to expect from these guys. Something aggressive in the offlane. I've seen the Clockwork on occasion, but Centaur is the hero I associate with them in the offlane.
So for AlbumS now, if they want to pick up their own offlaner, Tidehunter would be available. Just a solid hero, pretty much in any single game. Tidehunter is really never completely bad or anything. So that's a possibility. If not, you can go for like a Skywrath Mage plus Ogre, Skywrath Mage plus really anybody for that matter, or something else. Do you think there's like a certain hero that should get picked? Oh, I guess Brewmaster might be one.
No, Brewmaster got hit with a bit of a nerf stick. I don't feel like he's the right pick right now. But the fact that Tide got through, I mean, I would expect a Tide pick, and then it could possibly be I was going to say an Ogamachi tri-lane, but if you put a Centaur up against the Tidehunter, that's a pretty even lane on both sides. It'll come down to forced mistakes more than anything. Now we see the Ogre pick up for first. Do we get the Tidehunter for second and get my expectation? I would think so, but with the Ogre, this could be an aggressive tri-lane. It could be a defensive tri-lane. Oh, there's a Mirana. So it looks like there's your roaming duo. Ogre stuns, Mirana arrows. Does feel aggressive. Really
Well,
does feel aggressive.
we'll see if it's gonna actually be the supporting duo or not. But I guess that's the beauty of a Mirana all in all as well. You can just run her in multiple lanes. Just support, mid lane solo, carry tri-lane, solo off lane, like anything almost. I guess jungling Mirana is kind of weak, but even then you can try to like leap onto a hill and right click from there, something like that, just make two. But that's all the pick for Balkan Bears. It's not that common of a support hero these days, but the heal can definitely be strong, especially if you should somehow get the units to actually get the Shadow Wave bounce off. One combination I've seen is like Dazzle, Tusk plus really anybody. You snowball everybody to the hero, then Shadow Wave to follow up with the massive burst. But we'll see. I mean, that's definitely nice defensively as well. If you anybody gets caught by an arrow, you just shallow grave them up, and maybe you can even make the escape.
One of my preferred favorite combinations with the Dazzle Shadow Demon, because it lets you play very aggressive. It spawns the two illusions, heal the illusions. That's two sources of physical damage minimum, especially if they run it in. I've seen this from Balkan Bears, and this is the Balkan Bears, you've got to remember. A Dazzle, Centaur, Shadow Demon aggressive try. That kind of thing can do a lot of damage, and now we see bans on the Night Stalker. I wonder. But again, this is the Balkan Bears, so it wouldn't surprise me to see a Dazzle core. Sure, very rare, but it's the Balkan Bears for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I think I may have even seen them once play a Dazzle Core. I've definitely seen a Dazzle Core a couple of times, all in all. Even Fnatic, I think, played it a couple of times in the past. But that was like 2 something years ago already. In any case, next set of bans, Death Prophet, as well as a Night Stalker taken out by BBC. I guess Death Prophet isn't that popular for a hero these days, but still a worthy ban. I mean, Exorcism, it's just really hard to fight against, even if you do have the bonus armor coming in from the weave. But Album Sheet, a Timber Saw ban feels extremely specific.
Yeah, it does. It's not one we normally see, but it is what can be a very aggressive hero. He is quite powerful in the mid lane still. A Blink Dagger can do a lot on him. He can control lanes, he can be very aggressive. He can put the fear of hell into the enemy. And, well, speaking of fear of hell, Axe, looking for aggression, there is probably the king of it. We're looking for some good aggressive dunks, some air, whoever is going to be playing it. I mean, I think it was you that joined me when we were casting 4 Rankers and Sea Captain. This would be about 2 weeks before Christmas, I think. We had Air Matuberman in playing Axe, and that was quite fun. But for Balkan Bears, I'll opt for the Witch Doctor. Death Ward's going to be quite nice, good physical source of damage. You mix in the Weave, and that does get quite potent. So there is some potential synergy right there. Of course, you've got slows, stuns, heals. I'm liking this. They can keep the healing going, keep the momentum moving in a lane. I'm expecting another source of physical damage, though, on negative armor, because it does feel like this is a bit of an armor strat.
It most certainly does at the moment. To be honest, I wouldn't be too surprised if there's something like a Slark coming out from BBC, just kind of an aggressive core hero. But never mind, Album Sheet picked it up before, so I guess for BBC, no option for that. But I do like the Witch Doctor for everything that you mentioned, and also the fact that now that there's an axe on the board for Album Sheet, you cannot really rely on Shallow Grave to keep people alive. So just between the Shadow Wave and the Voodoo Restoration, that's already quite a lot of heal. So if you can manage to survive the Berserker Skull, there's a decent enough chance that you're gonna escape.
I'd agree to that, and this is what I'm thinking of the strategy right now. You've got your Dazzle, your negative armor. Your Witch Doctor has some synergy with the Death Ward. Centaur, not really a physical damage hero, but Void certainly is, and Void can do quite a bit on low armor targets. His physical right click's going to hurt. He just needs some attack speed now, and that's the standard build we'll see for a Void. He'll get some form of attack speed, and then he'll be fine. He'll be hitting like an absolute truck. Of course, Void's going to need a little bit more time to come online than, say, a Slark will, but with the Balkan Bear lineup, we need one more hero that can capitalize off negative armor. Templar Assassin wouldn't really be a bad pick right now.
To be honest, it really wouldn't. For Balkan Bears though, if they go for TA, the thing is that they're gonna have Slark on Album Sheet to deal with the refraction charges, even Battle Hunger a little bit from the Axe and Ignite from the Ogre. But never mind, it's gonna get banned out anyway, so just too many heroes, man. We're not gonna see here already. But now for other potential mid laners. I mean, Depth Assassin I think would have fit the bill in a sense that also provides just late game insurance kind of. Whereas if you go for example like a Puck, although Puck can still do a lot in the late game as well, especially if you go for like a Hex on top of just having the Dream Coil and the Waning Rift, it might not be the best option. So do you think something like a Shadow Fiend would fit the bill? Also another source of minus armor with the presence of the Dark Lord, or is it just a little bit too weak in some sense?
Well, Shadow Fiend is a hero all about positioning. If you can play it around, say, the Axe and the Slark, yes, it will work. It will be very nice. The negative armor will be good. And if you can land the Chronospheres so the the Shadow Fiend can walk up and just channel next to it, that'll be completely fine. But you have to always respect the Axe and the Slark. Because if you're a Shadow Demon, I did it again, Shadow Fiend, and you get caught, you're dead. That's it. Especially with Sven on the board now as well. You're looking at a lot of potential damage front-loaded from spells alone here. Stormbolt, Pounce, hell, multicast Ogre Magi, the Terror himself. I'm not actually sure who I favour in this one, as we get the Ember to round out the lineup for the Balkan Bears. Not the negative armor hero we were looking for, but certainly a little more survivable than a Shadow Fiend will be, considering his escape maneuvers with the Flame Remnants. I do like this pickup, and thing is, I look at Balkan Bears lineup and I feel like it's a little bit greedy.
Well, then again, look at Album Sheet, man. They're running 4 melee heroes. Yes, Slark is pretty damn slippery, and to be honest, if they get the nice Berserker Skull initiation, followed up by the AoE stun of Sven, they're gonna be fine. But they are up against the Chronosphere, even a Centaur with just Hoofstomp being there as well. They might not have the most fun of times just running a mass melee lineup like they are at the moment.
No, there is a lot of potential for punishment here. Both teams, well, one team with 4 melee, one with 3. When you look at the number of melee-centered stuns here, be it Stormbolt or Hoofstomp, This is going to be, in my mind, this is what occurs to me right now. Who initiates first? Because whoever initiates first will then have to possibly suffer the wrath of counter initiation, and the counter initiation will hit the stun on potentially more targets. If you see where I'm going with this, this is going to be a game of chicken near enough with this number of melee heroes on the board.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking to ask you as well, is that whether the Faceless Void should just play the counter initiation game. Of course, when you see the perfect opportunity, you can go jump in yourself as well, but kind of leave the initial initiation for the Centaur, and Faceless Void just angle in the back lines, make sure that you don't get caught in a Berserker's Call or Stormhammer or something. Then you come in with just a massive chrono.
Yeah, that's the way I feel is going to have to be the order of business here. The same does apply for Album Sheet. They initiate with maybe the Slark, they counter-initiate with the Axe. They're going to need to do something along that line to really have a good flow of momentum in this game. But it is, by all means, possible for either team to win it here, so I'm expecting one hell of a brawl, and you know what I like. I do like a good brawl.
Man, there must be something wrong with you if you're not favoring a brawl in a game of Dota. It's just the most manly and kind of the most exciting way to approach things as well, at least for the viewers. For the players themselves, some people they're just really into farming and they never want to fight. They're like, oh, just let me go PvE, man, need to kill those creeps.
There's a time and a place for some good farm, but you know me. You know me better than most of the casters. A good fight you cannot beat. It's why I love playing this game. You get a good early game skirmish, build it into a bit of mid-game momentum, then, well, it can just build into such an aggressive game. We've seen a couple of games with 2 kills a minute. We've seen, hell, if memory serves, 3 games in November that were 3 kills a minute, which does say a hell of a lot.
Yeah, the thing is that it's not too unusual to like start the game off like 6-8 minutes into a game, something like that, when there's 3 kills per minute, but the crazy thing is that when it's still the case like 25-30 minutes into the game, if they can actually keep up the pace, those games are rare, but like you said, we have had a couple of them, so fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed indeed, but considering pauses, they happen. We're going to have to just put up with them. We may as well get a couple of orders of business out of the way. For one, let's introduce the teams, shall we?
Yes, so for the side of Balkan Bears, who is still missing one player, Padrino will be playing the Centaur with Massacre on the Faceless Void, leaving Illusionist playing the Witch Doctor, Levi on the Dazzle, and the last one is going to be Yapsor playing
the Ember Spirit.
Oh yes, the Ember Spirit. Also, I do believe Massacre used to play in XBC Romania. Not entirely sure on that, but Illusionist 100% used to play in Next Please. So, Illusionist and we, they definitely know each other, I do believe, even in somewhat in real life. Although we not playing for Balkan Bears at the moment, so that's a little bit unfortunate, but I do believe Illusionist has been playing with them a little bit before as well, so not a completely random stand-in at least.
No, indeed not. And when I saw this game on our ticker, it's like, oh, BBC, that's going to be one hell of a game. I mean, Wihar and crew are generally, well, nuts in terms of their Dota strategies. It's really entertaining to watch. But, well, Wihar is doing other things, and it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I mean, I'm honestly hoping he finds a good team. If there's any player that deserves it, I reckon he does. He is one hell of a player, and I honestly look forward to seeing more from him at any level of Dota. But I suppose back to business. Flip side of this coin for the Album Sheet lineup. We've got Axmo on the Sven. We've got King R on the Marana. We've got Wek on the Ogre Magi. We have Hurricane on the Slark. And finally, we do have Afterlife on the Axe. And, well, with the Album Sheet lineup, this should be pretty good, and hopefully nothing bad is going on since emergency of 5 minutes from Yapsa, so with any luck everything is all good and we'll be back underway soon. But I suppose we should get the other little important piece of business that we have to address in this game. Who are you going to put your money on, couchor?
BBC, man, BBC. I just think this mass melee lineup will heavily get punished.
I would be inclined to agree. It's sort of a bit of a letdown when both casters put their money on the same team, but BBC, I've got to put my money on them. I do love seeing this team play.
I mean, it's hard a little bit for me just because, man, Album Sheet, they have an Axe. And then Ogre Magi, just the manliest of heroes. Even Sven, to be honest, as well there. But it's if they can make their lanes work, they can definitely snowball and make it so that BBC can't do anything at all to just counteract them. Ember Spirit definitely needs that first Battle Fury to just keep on farming up and keep up with just others in most cases. Faceless Void, I guess being a safe lane Faceless Void, you can kind of get guaranteed farm. But if somehow magically Album Sheet, I don't know, going for an aggressive tri-lane that somehow even works out, which I don't really see happening with the heroes that they have. I mean, Ogre Magi, Mirana, Slark, for example, wouldn't be the worst of lanes, but you're up against a Dazzle, Witch Doctor, and they Faceless Void. Don't think it would be that great, so... Album Sheet, they just have to make something happen with their lanes, but how are they gonna lane this? Is it Axe Jungle, maybe, even here, with, like, Mirana off lane, something like those lines?
It could be, but I'm more inclined to believe it'll be an Axe off-lane, Sven safe lane farming, and a mid Slark with a roaming King R and Weck on the Ogre and Mirana. But just backing you up for a second right there, you turned around and said Axe being a manly hero and Ogre being a manly hero. Axe I got no problem with. Axe is truly manly, but Ogre, a manly hero? Ogre's the kind of hero that walks into a fight and goes, huh? What's going on? Ogre isn't a manly hero, damn it.
Man, Ogre... Maybe, like, lore-wise not, but if you're a correct Ogre player, you are the manliest man ever on the world. Just because you have the armor, you have the health pool to just back up diving, which is exactly what you should do. You just go and smack people with your club, man.
I suppose I can't argue that, and he is one of the tankier int heroes. I mean, this is one of the nice things about the Ogre. Starts with 6 base armor, as well as nearly 600 health before any items at all. It's quite the nice way to start, and he's not exactly a slow hero either, especially if he can get Ignite on a target. But we are finally underway, and, well, welcome to the game, ladies and gentlemen. Let the carnage begin.
Oh man, every now and then I just love looking at effigies, especially the Disruptor one and the text of it for BBC.
The Disruptor one? What?
Yes.
What are you on about?
The effigy of the Disruptor in the dire base.
Oh, I see. Okay, point taken, point taken.
But BBC, they are going for some early rotations into the enemy jungle S5, and Hurricane, unless he's careful, he might get caught. There's the time walk, doesn't really connect, but the bounce gets blocked, and Hurricane, there's no escape. Hoofstomp will follow the Shadow Wave. Patrino picks up the first blood, which means faster blink for the Centaur. I mean, Massacre with the time walk, but they got to block the pounce anyway, so that's all they needed.
Yeah, that was really good positioning coming out of the Faceless Void there. I mean, Massacre, well played, lad. He's going to set up, get his team the early kill, and, well, as they rotate away to their lanes, seems we're going to have an off-lane Faceless Void potentially here, and Yaps are going to be handling the mid lane. We do have rotations away by both Padrino as well as Illusionist, so it does look to be a potential Centaur tri-lane, or at least Centaur safe lane. I mean, the supports can rotate around and cause havoc everywhere. It's the nice thing about this pairing. They've got good slows, they've got the stuns. It's a very powerful combination that can work here.
So, looks like BBC are going for some form of dual lanes, which, to be honest, has become a lot more popular ever since 6.82 even. So it's definitely viable if you can make it work for yourself. The one downside always is that the enemy offlaner will also get a little bit more, and Axe being up against a Centaur, that matchup, if it's just 1v1, Axe usually pretty much rapes it. But that depends on what lane you're in as well. If it would be like Dire safe in Axe, then he would have the advantage of just pulling through to the side camp, going there, then going to the creep wave and whatnot. But how much can a Witch Doctor actually do to an Axe?
A Witch Doctor really can't. I mean, the nice thing about Witch Doctor, he does have a good high base attack, but it's not really going to do too much unless Illusionist can, say, catch him at a creep camp and bounce the cask at level 2 between the creeps and the Axe. But I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that, considering the Axe is going to be spending most of his time on the lane. Then again, Afterlife could at least cause quite a bit of trouble here. There's the call, doing a lot of damage to Padrino, but he's just going to be able to run away from this one. He doesn't have the duration on the call at this point, but it does give him the advantage of the extra gold and lane control, the pressure that he can sort of push out onto this top lane.
So, looks like we have some ping issues for Illusionist, maybe somebody else as well. But Witch Doctor, the thing is, against Axe, if you get caught, and there are just a few spins, you're screwed just because you're working with 0 base armor. And counter helix, it is physical damage, so if you get caught, you're more or less screwed if there are a decent amount of just creeps around. Not too sure if they want to remake or what, or just try to wait it out, or... And also, one thing we didn't even just go over yet is the mid lane Sven. To be honest, I guess he won't get punished too hard, or maybe not at all by an Ember Spirit, but definitely not the most conventional laning for a Sven. Or I guess Sven really a non-conventional pick to begin with, but Sven mid lane, what do you make of it?
I've never actually seen a Sven mid lane in a pro game, so I can't really give any kind of analysis on it that makes sense. I mean, high attack damage, sure, brilliant for the mid lane. He's up against another melee. He can pseudo punish if he picks up the cleave. It'll have the downside of pushing the wave. I honestly don't know, but the Sven in general, in the grand scheme of this game, I like quite a bit, considering Warcry, a good burst of armor, something that can be used to counteract the weave. I mean, in the long run, Axe makes a lot of sense, but in the short run of the mid lane, I am just not sure. He's going to need to be very wary of rotations and ganks, of course, since Sven isn't exactly the quickest hero in the mid lane, but I suppose if any kind of aggression comes out of Yapsa, he can respond with the Stormbolt and run away.
That is true enough, and well, at the moment, the smoke is coming from Wek and Kingar. They want to go top lane. If Axe gets a Berserker's Call, there's the Paralyzing Cask. Oh, the perfect time illusion. He gets arrowed. Ignite to fall as well. Should be an easy kill, I believe. And that is going to be a kill indeed. Wek picks it up with the club. So, just BBC, they were the ones trying to go for Afterlife, but even had the gank not come in, I don't think Afterlife would have died there.
No, Afterlife would have been able to escape that one, I feel. I mean, even with a double stun coming out, Afterlife has so much armor and it's just damage block right now. Sure, you can burst an Axe down with Double Edge, but Double Edge just doesn't have the levels needed at this point. He needs at least level 3, if not level 4 on it to burst an Axe. Otherwise, the Axe will just taunt, run away, and potentially kill you with a Culling Blade or a Spin. But I'm wondering what's going to be happening on these other lanes, because if we take a look, King R's trying to set up for an arrow on this mid lane, and if they can land an arrow onto Yapsa, he's not going to have the survivability, considering it'll be followed up by a Stormbolt. Speaking of Stormbolt, it's going to lead first, arrow going to fly in second, it connects, full duration. Yapsa possibly going to fall in this mid lane. There's just no way he can survive this, really, is there?
If only the Flame Guard would guard against physical damage as well. So he goes down, really nice gank from AlbumS coming out. They are really making good use of just the aggressive support that they have. And also top lane now, Center Warrunner, he has gotten 1 kill, but that was the first blood happening. After that, you can't say that he's losing the lane or anything, but considering that the Axe has been at the numbers deficit for the most part, he's doing really well for himself, has the Tranquil Boots, is level 4.5 as well, has up to 10 last hits. I guess if you compare it to Faceless Void is doing even better, 18 and 6, whereas a Slark is 6 and 1, funny enough. So I guess the supports from AlbumS rotating around are hurting the Slark. Is it worth it in that case? I mean, Axe getting a blink there early is definitely good, but you would want to get at least some farm on the Slark as well.
In all honesty, the Slark can catch up. I mean, Slark can trade quite nicely. He does have Essence Shift, and he's stealing quite a bit of damage from Massacre here, but the bashes will be the problem. I mean, bash out on Hurricane there is going to force him away for a second, but he's just going to salve up, and then he'll just be able to come back into this one. And Massacre might have to time walk out if the aggression starts all over again. But the supports rotating around, just securing those kills on that mid lane is just such a big thing. It's giving the Sven so much time. And if we look at Sven right now, he's already got his treads. He's got 300, 400 golds as well. He's bottle crowing. He's got full control. And if you think about it, the Stormbolt, as we saw in that first kill on mid lane, it's the perfect setup for the arrow from distance. It's worked out nicely so far. And speaking of rotations, getting another rotation from Wek as well as King R onto Massacre here. Stun's going to land, arrow to fly through. It does impact. Is it going to be enough? Can he time walk out? No, he can't. Another kill going the way of AlbumS and 3-1 right now. The aggression coming from AlbumS instead of the BBC, which greatly surprises me.
Yeah, and it's just nice aggression as well. They know exactly when to go and what lane to just hit at the right time. And the thing was that Faceless Void, he knew that if he tries to time walk, the animation takes too long and he's gonna get arrowed. So he tried to outrun the arrow, but just the arrow came at too close of a distance. So really nicely done by AlbumS. just Stormhammer mid lane to just harass. He has a full bottle after all, so if you want to get some health back, oh, but there's the Searing Chains. Oh god, the Shadow Wave Bomb. But with the Warcry, gonna outrun them anyway. So, Balkan Bears, they have their workout out for them. Axe doing really well for himself. It's not like he's super close to a Blink, not gonna be the fastest Blink ever, but has rotated into his own jungle now. Gonna be getting some guaranteed farm. And for Balkan Bears, at least Faceless Void, even though he died, still getting a pretty nice amount of farm from the offlane.
Yeah, he's getting the good farm, and that farm is honestly what matters. If he can get some attack speed up, as we said during the draft, he's going to be golden. I mean, treads. I don't think Midas in this game, but going into an Aghanims, I don't think it's the right call this game. As much as it's rare, and this is something that is done on occasion, I think a Orchid would actually quite work out for Massacre. Sure, it won't give him any health, but it'll give him attack speed and mana regen. Plus a silence. I mean, it's rare, but it does make a lot of sense.
How necessary would the silence be, though?
It will deal with Slark, it'll deal with possibly
the thing is that
Sven.
it's not the guaranteed way to deal with a Slark.
No, it's not guaranteed. You need to really catch it when Dark Pack's on cooldown, but it can do a lot of damage in this game. And then from there you build into, say, a BKB, then you start to tank up on the Void. I've seen it done a few times by a couple of the pros when they've been scrimming, so it's rare, it's done, but it might be the order of business here. I mean, what else would you go for in this game? The Aghanims I don't think is the right call. You could go for traditional and go for something along the line of the Midas into maybe a BKB or MKB, but what really do you feel would the Void go for if it's not going to be the Aghanims?
I think it's just probably going to be like the standard start, go like Mask of Madness, maybe Maelstrom as well. Aghanims, arguably, yes, might not be the greatest of things, although I wouldn't mind it too horribly. It gives you some tankability, so if you get jumped, you're not going to die instantly at least, or you shouldn't. So that's one thing. Mid lane in the meantime, Yapsor takes a lot of damage from his Sven. Didn't have the Flame Guard activated while he got Stormhammered, but I think Aghanims actually wouldn't be too bad, just because I don't think they're gonna lack for damage with them having a low cooldown Death Ward as well as an Ember Spirit around. But I just think Orchid wouldn't get the most value. If it's up against like a Puck or Queen of Pain or something that you need to disable blinks or mobility, then it could be worth it, but I just don't think it's the best item choice in this game.
Well, there's another Stormbolt going over, but it's a nice jump away by Yapso, so he's going to escape that one. I do hear a Stampede up on that top lane. They're trying to bring down Wek. The burst damage is there, but the Maledict comes after the double edge. Still should be more than enough. Arrow's going to fly, does catch Padrino, and Wek will fall to the damage over time from the Maledict. This is the thing that I'm going to draw a parallel with. Padrino doesn't really want to stop this. He's just continuing going. King R could still be in trouble. He should be able to escape this one. He doesn't have that leap, though. In comes the double edge, and that will clean up the Mirana. A tad overextension coming out of the album sheet line up there.
And mid lane, Yapsor tried to harass Sven a little bit as well, but Sven just a tiny bit too tanky, especially with the magic one being there as well and the bottle. And that's the Hand of Midas for a Faceless Void, so I guess you just start safe with that. I guess with the Hand of Midas you can at least guarantee that you're going to be able to transition it to more than just an utility Void. It's not a bad thing, and it's a decently timed Midas as well. But we'll see how much you can make use of the Midas.
Yeah, the Midas is going to at least help him set up and get a bit of level acceleration going. But what you mentioned about the Mask of Madness, we both agreed that this game was really a game of chicken with who initiates first and who counter-initiates. Do you really reckon a Mask of Madness is the right call for a game like that? I mean, the extra damage taken is going to be such a big thing.
It's just, even if it's not the best choice, a lot of the times you see the players making those choices just because they're so used to getting some certain items and certain heroes. So I think it might be just one of those games here, although with the Midas you don't really need the extra attack speed. Oh, Hoofstomp does miss thanks to a nice pounce, but the Stampede, they still want to catch up to Hurricane. He pops the Shadow Dance, he's gonna be fine for now. Afterlife wants to get the kill, gets the Berserker's Call onto Padrino. Do they have enough backup? With the Stormhammer they should, theoretically, but we do have Levi there. Afterlife does have his ultimate, so never mind. Axmo, he's going in, maybe a little bit too deep. Massacre, he has the ultimate. Time walks away first. There's the Fire Blast as well onto Levi. Well, he's gonna be a casualty. Dunk. You could see it coming, man.
You could see that one coming a mile away. You saw the axe coming up. Afterlife playing the Air Jordan of this team, and if we can see dunks like that repeatedly on the shallow grave targets, I feel that Album Sheet could quite comfortably take this, even though we did both put our money on the Balkan Bears.
So Looking at the net worth charts, it is just the Sven leading the way at the moment. 4.9k net worth, almost 5 even. But the second one is Padrino, and so far with the blink there, has accomplished a reasonable amount, has gotten 2 kills. Tried to angle for a third right now as well, and did make the escape. And also you can see that Stampede is such a great ability. Kingar, oh, what a nice deny of the double damage rune. Definitely a rune that you do not want to give away to an Ember Spirit.
No, especially when Ember's starting to get those levels up. He's got Sleight of Fist now. That could be quite the nasty harassment tool, but of course denied in this case. We do have a bit of a setup potentially happening on this bottom lane. Padrino's hiding in the tree line. He does have that Blink Dagger ready to go, of course, and Hurricane could be the next casualty here if he isn't careful. And just look at this. It's hiding in the side.
But look at Afterlife. He got this blink on Yax as well. He's also hiding. But there's the Chronosphere onto Hurricane. Can Axe get the perfect Berserker Skull? He can catch 2 at least of them. No double edge to follow up. That actually saved them, Levy. He gets stunned. They get the extra movement speed. Hoofstomp just too late. He finally catches Afterlife. There's the Paralyzing Cask as well. With the Maledict to follow the Death Ward. They're gonna get the kill. Perniro drops low from his own double edge, but he will survive. But it was a 2-for-1 in the end, as Faces Void also went down, trying to chase down. I do believe it was the Slark.
And that's the perfect example of what we were meaning about a game of chicken. Whoever initiates first has to be wary of the counter-initiation, from the Axe in this case. It was quite the sneaky thing from both teams to have players hiding in the side jungles ready. But I'm expecting more carnage of that level in this game. It's just the way it's going to unfold in my mind.
Yeah, it's also, I have to say, Axe, he pretty much found the perfect positioning for the Berserker Skull. There was no way he was gonna hit all 3. But catching the center, preventing the double edge from coming out onto the Slark, made it so the Slark just activates Shadow Dance just fine all of a sudden. Really well done by the Axe, just first showing of the Blink Dagger, paying off heavily.
Indeed, and if they can keep just being aggressive to that level with the Blink Daggers, this game could just snowball into such a kill-heavy game. But tactically, and with the idea of fighting tactically as well, it's going to play out, I reckon, fairly smoothly. Both teams can just start to force towers. We're going to be looking for some possible tower trades here. If we take a look, Massacre is already trying to position for it. He's going to have to time walk away from Hurricane. But this is the other thing that we do have to take note of. The Slark in this case. We've not really been focusing all too much on him in the last few minutes, but he already has his Ring of Aquila and full power treads with a bottle. So from here on, what do you build? Do you go for the BKB and try to tank up, or do you go for something else on the Slark in this game? Where do you feel that he's going to go? As now we get the blink in from the Axe. Massacre in a lot of trouble. There's the dunk, and Afterlife will take the kill.
So for Hurricane, I think it's probably going to still be a blink, although I don't think they just necessarily need the Blink Dagger initiation from the Slark just because they do have the Axe already. And Blink, like I said, might just leave him a little bit too squishy. Although BKB, the worst thing is that it doesn't help against the Chronosphere Death Ward combination, otherwise might be a worthy choice. So I think some kind of mobility, whether it be the Blink or Shadow Blade, I would prefer Blink in that case, or just maybe straight off Eye of Skadi. But mid lane, oh god, the Berserker Skull, can they get the upside? Not enough spins, Yara will catch a creep as well. If Afterlife had gotten just a couple of spins, kill off the creeps first, then Yara would have been spot on.
Indeed, it would have been. As we take a look back at this game, the Skadi, sure, it could be a very powerful thing, but it's just too expensive to really rush for this early in the game, considering the Slark hasn't really taken off in the early game. I think a Blink Dagger might be the wiser order. I'm in agreement with you. Something for mobility, something to get Hurricane in the face of the enemies, and now we get the Stampede. Just is this for escape? No, this is for the top lane. Trying to go onto Yapsa and Levy now as the counter initiation. Axmo trying to just cleave everyone, manages to clean up the Dazzle. Now looking for potentially more? No. They're going to probably push the creep wave here and go for the tower. But on the bottom lane, the aggression hasn't ended. Hurricane gets caught by the Chrono, as well as the Death Ward in the sideline. But Afterlife's going to cancel that, and now Hurricane fighting back through. Time walk away by Massacre. He doesn't really want to get caught, and now you've got the Maledict and Cask bouncing around. No one has died. Can Illusionist get out as well? Yes, he damn well can. It's a complete stalemate on this bottom lane.
So Afterlife now, he should have gotten the Berserker Skull off onto the Witch Doctor. He saw him as well, but the pathing kind of made him back off because the road was blocked with the Witch Doctor there. If he had just popped... Oh, never mind. Axmo finds a kill on Illusionist. That Blink Dagger on him paying dividends, and Yapsor, he comes in, 3 right clicks, and he's down to quarter of an HP. That is the power of the Sven. Can he actually get the kill as well? With the Remnant, Yapsor should have the kite ability and exactly what he does, and now Axmo, he's in trouble, completely out of mana. Levi comes in as well. Searing Chains, Poison Touch, Shadow Wave used. Axmo still has the God Strength activated. Is he gonna win the fight? Nope. Not with the Shallow Grave being there, but my god, did Sven come close.
Indeed. The best part of that entire fight, though, is the dunk that's cancelled there by the Dazzle, I believe. But now in comes Padrino looking to try to seal the kill. Afterlife should be able to escape this one. He should be tanking enough. Nope, blink, stomp. There's going to be none of that. Double edge to seal that one. And, well, what I was going to say was when the Sven threw that Storm Bolt in the attempt on the Ember Spirit's Remnant took him over the path of the Storm Bolt, so it cancelled out instead of chasing the Flame Remnant until its expiry.
Well, to be honest, you cannot be chasing until it expires, kind of. Just because it lasts for, I do believe, 30 seconds, if I'm correct.
I phrased it wrong then. If the Remnant didn't travel over the Storm Bolt's path, it would have hit him when the Remnant's path thing ended, when he came out of it. But because it did, it cancelled out and there was none of that. But now we get another initiation and, well, Axmo's having none of it. He's going to cleave another.
Oh, God. I mean, this axe is getting fairly huge. If only he had an IO to back him up as well, he would probably just be unstoppable soon enough. But I have to say, BBC getting the kill on both the axe as well as the Sven there, it was so crucial for them. They were losing ground fast. They were just losing pretty much every single engagement for the past couple of minutes. But now, getting those few kills in return buys them some extra time. They aren't farming all that well still, but they are smoking up now with Padrino and Yapsar. So they want to go for something, double damage on the Ember as well. If anybody comes to the top lane, expect that hero to die. But there's a blink on Hurricane now as well, so they have triple blink initiation. Oh god, BBC, their Faceless Void is gonna have to be so ready with the Chronosphere for the counter initiation.
Indeed, it's all down to the counter initiation in this game. With so many melee heroes, counter initiation is the king of this game. There's a Stampede, they're looking to try to get King R and Weck, but, well, King R manages to leap away. Weck tries to get a counter stun, but King R does get off the Moonlight Shadow, will still get called off. Speaking of call, Afterlife enters the fray, trying to bring down anyone he can, but he's just taking so much damage, even with that call up, and Padrino on no health, Shallow Graved up, being taken out, the Death Ward as well, just to zone out the enemies and stop the levels of aggression. So after all of those ults expended, it's only for a single kill in favor of the BBC.
Well, at least they didn't use the Chronosphere, so that's good. They're gonna have that for the next fights as well. The Axe, though, that Berserker score was huge. If only they had a Blink Stormhammer to follow up. And Afterlife, the creep wave was coming in as well. Had the dire creep wave come in like 2 seconds earlier with the creep blitz as well. Blink stun not to Yaps, or never mind. The Remnants, well, same direction as the Stormhammer, like you were pointing out earlier. Does touch Yarrow though, he's gonna be fine for now. But man, Album Sheet, although they lost one, they still want to keep going, just they want to get kills after kills and snowball completely out of control.
Indeed. This game, it's going to be so kill heavy. Here we go again, Axma. Oh, the Remnants. If that kind of threat is there all the time, well, speaking of threat, Padrino's going to blow up the Mirana here. If we see this level of threat throughout the entire game, we're in for one hell of a slobber knocker. And Axe, no, there is no break in the action. Axe culls another.
Yeah, it was just blink pounce by the Slark, bringing Dazzle low, and Dazzle was like, Shallow Grave, oh, not gonna happen, too many blinks coming around. And that's gonna be a tier 1 most likely going down. Warcry to tank up the creep. Japsar is back with the Sleight of Fist, but not doing nearly enough damage at the moment. Oh, Berserker Skull just slightly missed, Padrino does connect. Double Edge to follow as well. Can they get the kill on Afterlife? Sure, looks like it with the Paralyzing Cast bouncing around. There's the Death Ward onto Beck. So, this time around, it's BBC once again winning an engagement. They even saved the tier 1 with that as well. Album Sheet, they just went a little bit too deep for that.
Indeed they did. Just one positional mistake can cause so much chaos, especially when you've got Yapsa just being a pest. He's not really doing much damage on the Ember right now, but he's just making the enemy hesitate in this case. He'll just come in, Sleight of Fist, which will do no damage because there are no Battle Furies, but it causes that moment of hesitation, of distraction, where Album Sheet have to try to think, do we go for the Ember or do we go for the tower? It's that kind of thing that gave the rest of the BBC lineup enough time to get into the fight and just cause the damage they were looking for. Speaking of the Album Sheet lineup getting back, they want to try to take this fight at the tier 1. And I think they can, especially with that Moonlight Shadow call onto Massacre. If there's going to be anywhere near enough, Asmo comes in, does get the double Stormbolt. Padrino blinks into it. Now comes the look for a counter kill though. Afterlife will go down to the double edge, and now everyone's trying to run away, but Hurricane is in the fight doing some damage, and there's the big Chrono on 3. That's the counter initiation we were looking for, and Axmo will go down. Still, he does get one more Stormbolt off, and now you've got Weck going down, potentially Yapsa. The Ember just burning everyone. That aura doing so much damage. Godlike for Padrino. Double kill for Yapsa.
Well, there's a tiny positive. Ogre Magi got the kill with Ignite onto the Faceless Void, but My freaking god, the initiation from BBC was nowhere near clean. The center went in, I do believe he got caught by a Stormhammer, I think it was maybe. So center got stunned, couldn't even use the hoof stomp as he jumped in under the tier 1 at first. But somehow, probably thanks to the wood restoration as well as the Dazzle Shadow Waves coming out, they managed to survive, turn things around, and the Chronosphere not catching a single teammate as well. That was the biggest thing about it. It was pretty much the most perfect Chronosphere he could have gotten in that situation.
Indeed, it was absolutely marvelous to watch, and hell, Massacre massacred that one. There's no other word for it. It's his namesake, for Christ crying out loud. It's just perfect to watch that kind of thing. And well, if we take a look at the graphs after that little skirmish, let's take a look at the net worth. Back down in favour of the BBC after that chrono. That's just the massive level of destruction it caused, and experience as well. Look at that graph drop. 3,000 experience lead for the BBC.
Man, that fight was so damn huge. Now those Sven will have the BKB. Arguably, yes, doesn't really help up against Chronosphere, but even the Death Ward being, at least it's level 2 now, but without the Aghanim's buff, it's not that scary if I think if you have BKB on you and you're a Sven, you have Warcry for the armor as well. But this Sven, a lot hinges upon his shoulders at the moment. Slark isn't all that farmed. Yes, he has the blink. I mean, there's a blink on Axe as well, but Axe relies a little bit on RNG. Not all that much, but still a tiny bit. And just this positional advantage. Berserker's Call alone usually is not enough. You kind of need for the extra units to be there as well.
Indeed you do. You really need more creeps around to really gain the maximum effect out of the counter helix, but still, it poses enough of a threat where, with a good initiation, the BBC have to really rethink things if things go awry like that. Oh, Axmo pops the Mask of Madness, looking for a good kill in the jungle. Will find Illusionist with the help of Hurricane, and that's going to be a kill going the way of the Album Sheet lineup. But now, well, Yaps is going to have to run for his life, considering Moonlight Shadow's up. Album Sheet want to keep the momentum and aggression going, but they're not going to find one quite yet.
Still, a nice pick-off. If only they managed to just turn it into an objective now as well, that would be grand for them. I mean, Axmo still farming up, but so is Padrinho, for example, and having that Heaven's Halberd might come into play, although Sven, just now that he got the BKB, I guess you can still try to disable the Slark with it, if necessary, or once the Sven's BKB starts going lower, and even if not that, the evasion of the Heaven's Halberd for yourself is still gonna be nice.
Indeed it is. Ooh, Massacre, hanging around, not really wanting to overextend and try to take on the Axe alone in the creep wave. That might be a bit overzealous. But as it sits right now, do you really stand by your bet still at the BBC, or do you really think Album Sheet can fight back into this one? It's a hard one to call, isn't it?
Oh, it most certainly is. It's like we mentioned pretty much the entirety of the game. It hinges so much upon who gets the initiation, who is ready for the proper counter initiation as well. Although Album Sheet, I think that at one point, like 5 minutes ago, they could have completely snowballed out of control, but BBC managed to stop the bleeding and even get a lead for themselves. But it's still really anybody's game. And Ember Spirit at the moment, for example, not going for a Battle Fury at all, so his farm won't be all that great most likely. So that's one downside. Thank god that the Faceless Void has the Midas, going for a Crystal is next, so straight off damage build. But what do you think of Ember Spirit not going for Battle Fury and most likely building a Eye of Skadi straight up?
If it's an Eye of Skadi and he can finish it, the investment's going to be perfect. But if he gets held up, if he gets killed, and their problems arise from that, I don't really think it'll pay off. But Axmo might actually be in trouble. Long-range Poison Touch. If they can catch Axmo and bring him down, that's going to be pretty huge. But he's going to blink away before the stun hits. But then again, oh, quick Stormbolt coming onto Padrino. Now he gets the Hoof Stomp, but it's going to be instantly removed by the Dark Pact. And, well, nice little escape move there by the Album Sheet lineup. But
so, Poison Touch is too weak of a spell to cancel Blink Dagger, I guess?
It takes a tick of 20, I believe. Just like when you're breaking a salve, it takes a tick of 20 to break it. Okay,
so thanks to the Warcry, his armor was enough to make the 32 tick of physical damage be less than 20.
As far as I know, that is what happened there. If you can keep the high armor with the Warcry and just escape like that, perfect. They're going to be just checking the tree line for anyone hanging around, just in case. But I reckon we could be looking at a push maybe on this tier 2 if they want to maintain momentum on this top lane. maybe force a fight onto the bottom lane. That might be wiser, considering the tier 1's still standing. But I believe you asked about the Ember Spirit.
Yes.
Coming back to him now that we've had a bit of a lull in the action. If it is a Skadi, sure. But in this game, considering they've got so much damage coming out of, say, the Centaur and the Void, hell, Death Ward as well, I wouldn't be averse to seeing it be a Sheepstick instead, considering Sheepstick's pretty good on all heroes near enough.
It's going to be a Skadi because he has the second ultimate orb as well, and to be honest, against the lineup of AlbumS, I don't think it's going to be all that bad. 4 melee heroes. Sven definitely does not want to get kited around, but just one Sleight of Fist, everybody will get slowed. So in that sense, it's not that bad of a first item to go for in this particular game, and since Faceless Void is going for the pure, just kind of one position role kind of item, just full on damage almost, Ember Spirit doesn't really need the Battle Fury that much this early, I think, so it's a fine item choice. Maybe not that traditional, but not less weak because of it, or not weaker because of it.
No, I completely agree with that. I didn't actually check the courier, so I didn't see the second ultimate orb, so full Skadi I can completely see being the order of business here, especially considering so many melee heroes. I mean, the Ember can do a lot of damage to this, but I am very surprised because of so many melee heroes we're seeing no Battle Furies. All of those melee heroes, you would think, oh, let's cleave everything, considering, hell, the ABCs of this entire game are always be cleaving. It seems to be the rule in this one. Sven, you would think Battle Furies and an Ember normally, but hell, you've got damage coming through from Double Edge, which is of course cleaved. Quite a few nice setups here. A bit of a lull in the kills right now, but oh, speaking of lull in the kills, I tell a lie, Illusionist gets dunked.
And sad support life, but for BBC, I think they're rather happy that it happened to a support rather than a core hero. Especially the Ember Spirit too. Does he have his... Well, he needs about 300 more gold to get his Skadi finished. And speaking of Skadi, Hurricane also going for one up to 2.9k gold. So he also needs like 700 gold or close to enough to it at least. So we're gonna have pretty much simultaneous Eye of Skadis coming out most likely. I still think probably that Ember Spirits might be a little bit more impactful with just the AoE slow from the Sleight of Fist. Then again, Slark, he gets so much value of just getting the stats. Higher health pool means just more Shadow Dance value.
I can see that, but it's the Shadow Dance value. Yeah, Shadow Dance is going to be a lot of things here, but Axmo could get caught out. That's a Chrono on 2, perfect positioning on that, and that'll be 2 easy kills, surely. King R not going to escape that one. Well, the damage is done.
Yapsor managed to get both of them on the Ember Spirit. The second one he just got with the Remnant damage there. That's Eye of Skadi finished, and that was the perfect position to fight. They win the fight. Straight next to Roche Pit. Easy objectives to follow. Who do they give the Aegis to though?
In this case, I'd say give the Aegis to Yapsa. Massacre is the counter-initiator. He's coming in nearer the middle to end of these fights with the Chrono. I mean, whereas Yapsa, he's going to be in there at all parts of the fight. I mean, the other option is you give it to the Center War Runner, but that's not going to be the deal in this case, specifically when he's catching Afterlife. They're going to get the nice cast bounce in and the Death Ward as well. That's going to be quite the easy kill on the Axe with the help from Illusionist.
I have to say Padrino is pretty damn stacked on farm at the moment already. Blink, Heaven's Halberd, has himself the Vitality Booster and the Plate Mail, and he just purchased something. It's a Reaver as well. So in about 1k gold, gonna have that Heart of Tarask finished, which means about 3k HP waiting on him for that. And of course, he did have safe lane farm, so it's kind of a given that he is farmed, but Centaur is not to be underestimated as a carry in a sense. I mean, yes, you can try to ignore him, but if he's stacked up enough on armor as well as strength, that return will do a crazy amount when you're trying to right-click him, and well, in the meantime, Mirana just dies.
Yeah, she was trying to deward. It was a very hard one to deward as well. She missed uphill, I believe, twice. But there's little you can do when you get caught by the Dazzle, and then you've got the rotation in from Yasuo, who manages to hit the combo of the Sleight of Fist into the Searing Chains. So all around, just a very unlucky time for King R. I mean, hopefully he'll be able to get at least another item, considering he is so poor. He has brown boots and a medallion. I mean, I would love to see him finish those boots and maybe go for a drum, just some stats in general, help him tank up a bit, instead of trying to just surf the edges of the team fight, throw an arrow in. Considering he hasn't got the high levels in Starstorm, he's not going to be in the center, but, well, it seems we're going to start this fight all over again. Moonlight Shadow going to buy some time. They drop the Sentry Ward to try to chase it, but they don't manage to catch anyone in time, so they'll deward and get the hell out of the mid lane.
Yeah, the thing for Yapsar at the moment is that picking up the Aegis, he got rid of the bottle for a little while. So he's gonna have to go all the way home. At least he had enough mana for a TP, so he's gonna go home, pick up the bottle now as well, come back to a Remnant, and he's gonna be just fine. I would definitely like to see them actually make good use of the Aegis as well. They do have all of their ultimates apart from the Stampede, which will be up in 28 seconds time. Weave, of course, on a low cooldown anyway. So they have the Chronosphere, they have everything at their disposal. Do you think they should still angle for just pickoffs and then maybe try to go for objectives, or are they actually strong enough to go for like a straight up tier 2?
At this point in the game, I mean, they've got a 5k gold lead. They've got their AoE Skadi near enough with the Sleight of Fist. They've got their Crystallis now as well on the Ember. I'm beginning to feel like they can actually start to take some of these fights. I mean, they can start maybe looking for this tier 2. Speaking of mid lane, Yapsa goes in, does get taunted there by Afterlife, but that's not going to be anywhere near enough. And now in comes Axmo from the sidelines, cleaves down the supports. There's no way they're surviving. Look how big this Sven is. But then again, he does get caught in the chrono. Now jump across from Hurricane, though. He does get that Blink Dagger, so he can just jump through the chrono and catch Yapsa. He manages to... Is he going to finish him off? I don't actually think he's going to be able to kill the Ember that easily, considering he does have the Aegis and Padrino is still tearing everyone else to pieces. He needs to get the hell out of dodge, considering a Flame Remnant could still be enough to catch this Slug. That was what could have been brilliant for AlbumS, considering the Sven came in and managed to do so much damage, but the Chronosphere just cut the fight in half. It wasn't so much how many it caught, but where the Chrono was placed, it cut off the maneuverability completely.
Yeah, it's also the fact that sometimes you don't need like huge black holes or chronospheres, as long as you catch the correct target, and Sven was the correct target as well. The damage, like you said, he just mowed through the supports. At least Witch Doctor got some value out of the death ward anyway before he got killed, but man, you stop the Sven, you pretty much stop the entirety of AlbumS, because Slark, only having that Eye of Skadi is just not that scary at the moment.
No, it's not. The Slark needs some more front-loaded damage, maybe... I don't think crit's the right choice. I'd say maybe MKB or hell, just something that can give him some flat damage. Crit would be nice, I suppose, to an extent. Hell, Butterfly as well. Butterfly for the dodge actually makes a lot of sense this game, thinking about it.
It definitely wouldn't be an awful choice. Sometimes like Basher into Bissablade might be fine, but that would be a huge investment of gold for you. But bottom lane, they want to go for King R. Can they do it? Nope, he leaps away before. But my god, Balkan Bears, it wasn't the greatest fight for them just because all 5 of them weren't there. But considering that they won the fight with it being rather sloppy by them, it just goes to show how far or how comfortable their position is at the moment. Heart of Tarask also finished on Padrino, up to another 1.4k gold. Can go for either an AC or Shiva's next. And oh, okay, last match between the teams, AlbumS 1-2-1. So
December, I believe we've got Heffler spelling here.
Oh man, Hefla. Hefla's German, but grammar Naziing is not his doing, I guess.
Ooh, man. No, don't go there. Don't go there. But still, unfortunately, Hurricane couldn't catch the bottom lane with the TP in. Tried to get the Centaur, but we could see a rotation through the jungle. Oh, plans from Hurricane. He tries to go for the farm, but oh, he could be in so much trouble right now. There's the Stomp. He does manage to get into the Shadow Dance, so that'll buy him some time, but in comes the 11-0 Ember from Yapsa. This could be oh so bad. If they can bring down Hurricane, bad things will happen afterwards. Beyond godlike for Yapsa, and now looking for a push on that tier 2. Just with this kind of momentum going, how do you stop the BBC?
I'd say a nice chrono, but unfortunately the chrono is on BBC's side as well. If they had like a Ravage, they still have a chance with a nice Berserker's Call followed up by just Stormhammer into the cleave of Sven, because Sven, with the God Strength being level 3, he does do a crap ton of damage, but he went for a Lincoln Sphere. I don't know about that, the Yapsa, he goes in so deep, but there's the Berserker's Call as well, maybe too deep, but the Chronosphere onto 3 heroes as Hurricane blinks into that as well. Of course catches his own teammate as well, but it doesn't matter if they get the kills Afterlife. They're warded up, Axmo does come in with a huge cleave, but it's not gonna be enough, he's just gonna get bashed by Massacre, maybe can get the 1 kill. Nope, the bashes are just too strong. Slark has to escape. They might not stay around for Rax, or maybe they might, and GG will play this cause.
Ashmo earns the title of Bash Lord for this game. Sorry, Massacre earns the title of Bash Lord for this game. There's just no way around that. But of course, this is a best of 3, ladies and gentlemen, so they have to do this all over again.
Oh god, what a game this was. Balkan Bears, they pretty much weren't looking too shaky for the most game. One point AlbumS it looked like they might snowball, but then Balkan Bears turned it around with one nice fight and they just got the lead and never let go from there on. But guys, like Black mentioned, it is a best of 3, so we're gonna head into game number 2's lobby now. We'll see if the draft and the gameplay will favor BBC once again for them to take it 2-0, or can AlbumS repeat their performance from December from the BOCE and come out 2-1 in the end. So guys, just stay tuned, don't go anywhere. We're gonna be back in just a couple of minutes time.